The Green Bay Packers may have a losing record. They may be on pace for a top 10 draft pick this year. They may be a team that has had crises on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. But, and every Packer fan can look in the mirror and say this: at least we're not the Bears. Welcome to another episode of Lombardi Time Brews. That's right, it is Bears week. So, Packers versus Bears game preview today from the Packers side of things. I'm going to be talking about the Bears a lot, what they do well, which isn't a ton, what they do bad, which is a lot. Going to be talking about that and just how the Packers stack up against them. Before I totally dive in, I've also got injury reports for both teams. That's right, I'm a handy dandy Post-it just like Blue's Clues. So I am going to read that off as well to see who's in, who's out. One certainly surprising injury development today that occurred on the Green Bay side of things. So please hit like, share, subscribe on this video. As always, spread it around, tell your friends, and come check out Lombardi Time Brews together. So those injuries that I was talking about, yeah, let's just start with the Bears side of things because they've got a lot. Barome, their offensive lineman, he's out. Jaquan Brisker, their rookie safety, he's out. Moving on from that, Gordon, their rookie corner, out. Riley Reif, their offensive tackle, is questionable. Can't even read my own handwriting. I'm sorry. I think it's Vilders. The defensive back, he's questionable. Trevor Siemian, backup quarterback, is out. And then the biggest development for Sunday, at least for the Bears, is Justin Fields, quarterback, is in. He has been practicing, at least in a limited capacity, for the majority of the week. He is officially in for Sunday, which, yes, means that the Green Bay Packers are, again, going to be going against a dual-threat quarterback. And we saw how well that worked out last Sunday in Philly. Oh my God, they better learn how to tackle by Sunday. All right, so beyond that, though, the Bears do have a number of important players on injured reserve. Number one wide receiver, Darnell Mooney. Khalil Herbert, a key backup running back for them. Beyond that, Eddie Jackson. He's their safety. He's one of the best rated PFF players for them. He was placed on IR. A tremendous amount of talent on IR right now for the Chicago Bears, and that didn't even list all of them. So certainly some issues there. Even former Packer Lucas Patrick, he's on IR as his season is done with a toe injury. Now going to the Packers side of things, we have David Bakhtiari. He is out. Now this is the surprise development. He's not out because of anything to do with his knee, which is what I know a lot of people jumped to when they saw him as out. But the truth is, the guy had an appendectomy today. Where the hell did that come from? So he's out Sunday. The Packer beat reporters are even saying, like, as the practice report was put out today, that as they didn't see Bakhtiari out there, they said they didn't know why. He was in a great mood yesterday, practiced as normal yesterday. Well, getting an appendectomy, yeah, that's why. That would be why he wasn't there. So he is not playing on Sunday, which we are going to discuss later in the keys to the game. That does have a couple ramifications for the team. Bakhtiari, first of all, I just want to throw this out there too. Since he's come back, now we've had about a month of the Packers offensive line actually playing together, the vision of what this offensive line was supposed to be. And it is much, much better than it was earlier in the year. They now, according to PFF, are the fourth best offensive line in the NFL. This is what we were clamoring for all offseason. This is what we knew that they could be. Now, David Bakhtiari is obviously a huge part of that. He has yet to give up a quarterback hit or a sack since he's come back. This is not a small loss, even if the Packers are used to it. So a surprise development today. Now moving on from that, no real other surprises. Devondre Campbell listed as questionable. Romeo Dobbs listed as questionable. Hopefully we can get both of them back for Sunday for sure. And then Darnell Savage, who did not practice at all this week, actually got a doubtful tag. And frankly, I'm a little surprised that he got a doubtful tag. Generally, when guys don't practice all week and it's a newer injury for the Packers, they just declare them as out. But here we have a doubtful tag on Darnell Savage. So, we'll see. I mean, that's the injury report. Packers one much smaller than the Bears one, but of course the Packers have their fair share of guys on IR as well, including Rashawn Gary, Eric Stokes, amongst others. So let's dive in here. Packers versus Bears. And this is, obviously it's the oldest rivalry in the NFL. This is a rivalry built in history, in respect. These two teams may not always like each other, but you've got no choice to at least appreciate each other's history and respect the long-standing franchise across from you. Soldier Field and all of its history, Lambeau Field and all of its history. This isn't some new plastic franchise, some new, just a thing that was created out of a business need or something, or, like a certain purple team. No, this is different. This is a historical matchup. And as such, yes, the Green Bay Packers are fighting for the opportunity to take over the all-time wins record in the NFL, to finally take that record from the Chicago Bears. And just how fitting would it be for Aaron Rodgers to claim that record, not in Lambeau Field because that's publicly owned, but in the stadium that he actually owns of Soldier Field in Chicago. Now, what happened the first time that these two teams met earlier this year? It was in week 2, and the Green Bay Packers got a 27-10 win. Now, the Green Bay Packers, we all know, they had that massive letdown in week 1 against Minnesota, and then all of a sudden in week 2, it just felt like they had found themselves. And then, we know how the season played out. But week 2 was a good one. They won 27-10. Rodgers was 19 of 25 for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had 15 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. And the big receiver on the day for the Packers was Sammy Watkins. Yeah, remember when he used to contribute? The 1 week? It was this week. It was against Chicago. He had 3 catches for 93 yards. How did Chicago fare in that game? Well, Justin Fields was not at his full powers yet, let's say that. Justin Fields was 7 of 11 for that game for 70 yards passing. He also had 8 rushing attempts for only 20 yards and a touchdown. Not the same Justin Fields that's running around on the football field now. David Montgomery, their lead running back, had 15 carries for 122 yards, nearly matching Aaron Jones's production. Yes, I'm going to talk about it soon, but the Chicago Bears can absolutely positively run the ball. They're not as great at passing, but they can absolutely run the ball. And we saw against Philadelphia that Green Bay struggles against teams that can run. Chicago Bears, in case you don't know, are coached by Matt Eberflus, offensive coordinator, former Green Bay Packer coach Luke Getsy. They're 3-9 on the year with their 3 wins coming against the New England Patriots, San Francisco 49ers, and Houston Texans. Now, they are 3-9, but they have lost 5 straight games. Yes, their last win came all the way back pre-Halloween. Losers of 5 straight. And this is not the same team that we know of them from week 2 either. There have been some losses to this team, and I'm not talking injuries. They've traded some dudes away. But they also got 1 player back. The key addition for this team is Chase Claypool, their new de facto number 1 wide receiver, especially with Mooney going on IR. Now, Claypool is playing in a very run-heavy offense, but his production has not exactly been commiserate of someone who was traded for a second-round pick. A second-round pick that the Packers also offered, and they may have caught a break here. But the Bears traded a second-round pick for him, and his production to this point has not exactly been incredible. In fact, if you compile all of the stats, you would think for a number 1 wide receiver, it's maybe about 1 game's worth of stats. For Claypool, it's been spread out over quite a few games. On the losses side of things, they've lost Robert Quinn. They traded him away. And they also traded away Roquan Smith. Perhaps 2 of their top 3, maybe their top 2 defenders, have both been actively traded away. So this is not even the same Bears team that we saw back in week 2. Is it the same Packer team? Well, yeah, they've got some injuries, but we all know they didn't do anything at the trade deadline. They haven't brought in any major free agent signings, so predominantly is the same team. So how do the Bears stack up? How do they rank in everything? Well, offensively, they score 20.9 points per game. That's pretty much middle of the pack in the NFL. In terms of rushing, yeah, this team can run the ball. Holy buckets. They are top in the NFL in rushing, getting 192 rush yards per game. Most of that actually coming in recent weeks from Justin Fields himself. David Montgomery obviously contributing as well. But how are they at passing? If they're such a good running team, why are they only middle of the pack in points? Well, because they can't pass a lot at all. They call pass plays at one of the lowest frequencies in the NFL. They average only 131.2 passing yards per game. That is dead last in the NFL. And now they don't have Mooney. Who is their highest graded according to PFF? Who is that guy on the offense? Who's their highest graded player? It's not Justin Fields. It's not David Montgomery. No, it's Tevin Jenkins. Yes, Tevin Jenkins, the offensive guard. He is the highest rated PFF player for the Chicago Bears on the offensive side of the ball. In terms of turnovers, they've turned the ball over 15 times, 6 of which have been on lost fumbles, 9 of which on interceptions. But here's the major concern. For the Packers, anyway. The Chicago Bears obviously know how to run the ball. We just went up against Philly, who also knows how to run the ball. Philly has a dual-threat quarterback. Chicago does too, but it's not exactly the same. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in depth in a minute, but Jalen Hurts has A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, even Quez Watkins. Justin Fields has Chase Claypool, Equanimeous St. Brown. It's not the same. This is not a high-profile passing attack like Philadelphia can be if they want to be. No, Chicago runs the ball, and they do run it very well. And Fields is the main part of that. The Green Bay Packers are going to have to stop him in order to stave off an upset. Defensively, where do the Bears rank? Well, they give up 25.4 points per game. That's 27th in the NFL. However, here's what's interesting. They've traded away Robert Quinn. They've traded away Roquan Smith. They've got all these guys out. Gordon, Brisker, Eddie Jackson on injured reserve. That is so much talent. All of their preferred starters gone. Just decimated defensively. So they've given up 25.4 points per game, 27th in the NFL. But in this 5-game losing streak that they've been doing, they've been giving up 34 points per game. Now, they have faced some high-profile offenses during that 5-game streak. They've played Dallas. They've played Miami. But even against the Jets last week, they gave up over 30. I mean, this defense of Chicago has just been decimated by both injury and personnel subtractions. And if you're Green Bay, if your offense can't perform against this version of the Bears defense, it's given up 34 in their last 5 straight games, maybe time to go back to the drawing board. Now, rushing defense. The Chicago Bears give up 143.9 yards per game on the ground. That's good for 29th in the NFL. The Green Bay Packers have been much maligned for their run defense, how bad it is. Well, the Bears are at 143 yards per game, 29th. The Packers are 31st in the NFL, giving up 154 yards on the ground. And that 154 just got inflated by a 360-yard game from the Philadelphia Eagles. So if everyone thinks of the Packers as being this historically god-awful run defense, the Bears are also a god-awful run defense. Now, passing defense. The Bears are not as good as the Packers on the passing defense side of things. They give up 206.1 yards per game. That's good for 12th in the NFL. Their highest graded defenders? Well, it's Eddie Jackson, who's out. Okay, who's in second? Roquan Brisker, who's out. Okay, so third is actually inside linebacker Joe Thomas. Former Green Bay Packer Joe Thomas. Yeah, that one. from forever ago. He's still hanging around playing inside linebacker for the Bears, and he is their highest graded defender to this point. Who's their leader in sacks? Again, well, it was Brisker with 3. He's out. Okay. Well, it was Roquan Smith with 2.5. Well, he's out too. See what I'm saying here? You picking up on the theme? A lot of the Bears' talent gone. Now, they do have a few guys with 2 sacks, but, you know, we're well into the season. 2 sacks is not a lot. So what are the key matchups in this game? What do the Packers have to do in order to win the game? Well, tackle. For the love of God, learn how to tackle again. Joe Barry said in his press conference this week, amongst much other things, which I may talk about next week. Wasn't the best press conference of Joe's life, not going to lie. But he did say that the Green Bay Packers missed 22 tackles against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. 22 tackles. I don't care who you're playing. Whether it's the high-powered Philadelphia Eagles, the run-heavy Chicago Bears, the Houston Texans. You miss 22 tackles, your defense is going to suck. And they did. Larry McCarron pointed out this week that per some metrics, the Packers actually had the highest number of perfectly defended plays in the NFL, meaning perfectly defended not necessarily in terms of making a tackle or anything, but having guys where they were supposed to be. Larry McCarron pointed out they had the highest number of plays in the NFL for that last week. And they gave up 40. And they missed 22 tackles. If it's not one thing, it's another with this defense. And if you're going against Chicago and Justin Fields at this point in the year has 834 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. That 7 touchdowns for Justin Fields is 3 times the amount of rushing touchdowns that Aaron Jones has. It also happens to be 13 more yards rushing than Aaron Jones has. Aaron Jones has had one of the best seasons for a running back in the NFL. And I know, we've all been complaining about him not getting the ball enough, but Justin Fields has more rushing yards than Aaron Jones. Which means, if you come even close to him, and he's running, hit him. Don't throw your shoulder at him. Hit him. Wrap him up. Bring him down. That is the number one key to this game. The Chicago Bears do not have this vast array of weaponry that the Philadelphia Eagles have. They do not have the defensive rotation that the Philadelphia Eagles have. This is a decimated Bears team that is losing talent by the day. And yet none of it will matter at all if you can't tackle. That's key 1. Key 2, throw everything you have at the run. I know. Fields may beat you over the top a couple times to Claypool, Equiminius, St. Brown, or anyone else they got running around. Velus Jones, who now is there. But stop the run. They're dead last in the NFL in yards per game passing. Just don't make this a repeat of the Titans game where you couldn't communicate to save your lives. Sell out, stop Fields. If Fields is able to execute against your best run defense, then maybe call an adjustment. But to start this game, do the opposite of what you did against Philly and stop the run. Point number 3. Offensive coordinator Adam Stenovich at his press conference this week was asked, why is the offense suddenly successful? Does it have to do just with Christian Watson? Now, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, yeah, strong run game, speed on the outside to take the top off the defense. That's it. Yeah, football ain't rocket science, right? And so he acknowledged Christian Watson gives them the speed that they've been missing on the outside all year. He could take the top off of the defense, and suddenly the run game works better. The run game helps that top off. You just got to do it. The Chicago Bears defense, whether it be pass defense or run defense, cannot stop the Green Bay Packers if they are executing with any type of proficiency. I would hope, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but I would hope that the Green Bay Packers are going to be amped up for this game to take the all-time win lead, to get Aaron Rodgers a win at Soldier Field before his season is quite, not definitively, but quite possibly done. Run your game plan. Don't screw with it. Run your game plan. Key number 4. There has to be consistency with David Bakhtiari out. David Bakhtiari has been incredibly good all year. Well, now he's out. So Zach Tom is probably going to get the start at left tackle. That's what they did last time Bakhtiari had to miss some snaps, which I believe was week 9. I don't think that they're going to activate Caleb Jones and just throw him in. I don't think it's going to be Rasheed Walker. I could be wrong. I don't even think they're going to take Elton and kick him out to left tackle, although they could. Or I don't think that they're going to switch Yash back. At the very least, I don't want them to. Your offensive line has been performing better. I already talked about PFF making them the 4th best offensive line in football. It's been getting better, partly because of the consistency of the same guys playing the same spots week in and week out. So leave it alone. Let the 4 dudes stay. Do something normal with your offensive line for a chance, and just put in a backup. But then make sure that that backup is supported. Don't do the Mike McCarthy way of leaving a backup on an island. Make sure he's supported, but put in Zach Tom, who I think is the leading candidate for it. We'll see. But have a plan and allow the offensive line on the whole to stay consistent. The Chicago Bears do not have incredible pass rush. You don't need to panic because you're facing a Nick Bosa or a Khalil Mack like you would have in the past, or even a Robert Quinn. They're gone. All of them are gone. Let your offensive line be itself and leave it alone. Number 5. This could, I'm not saying it definitively will, it could be Aaron Rodgers' last game of the year. Could. I'm not even saying whether it should. I'm saying it could. Just appreciate that. I know it seems dumb, but yeah, that's a key to the game. We've talked about how this team at times has had problems finding motivation. I've maligned them for saying that the motivation should come from Rodgers, but this is a little different. Chicago. Soldier Field. Get ramped up and go. You're going against a team that calls run plays on 51% of their snaps, second highest in the NFL. Hit them hard. Hit them with what they do. They run the ball. Defend the run. They can't defend anything. Good. What a wonderful opportunity for you to get your offense figured out. For good. No, I am not in the camp of the Green Bay Packers should lose every game for the rest of the year and get a better draft spot. Definitely not in Chicago. This game needs to be a win. Let's find it. Go out. Win. That's all there is to it. And there you have it. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of Lombardi Time Brews. I will be back Sunday after the game with an initial game reaction. Just shortly after the game, you'll get to see me again as I offer you my takes on the game and what happened. So I hope you have a wonderful night tonight. I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow, and I will see you on Sunday. Have a great weekend, and as always, go Pack Go.